Another one of the strategies that I really like using, and I like to call it hypothetical testing. And what that really implies is, see how in this particular problem they're saying the height of a triangle is increased by 15%, the base is decreased by 10%, but they never give me any concrete numbers. So in problems like that, make up some numbers. So what I'm going to do for this original triangle is make up a base and make up a height. So let's pretend, and again, there's no right or wrong answer here. I just want to make the numbers that I make up relatively easy to work with. So I'll make my base 10 and I'll make my height 20. Any number that ends with 0 and I'm dealing with percents should be a little bit easier to work with. So now what I'm saying is my base here is 10 and my height here is 20. And remember, the final question is saying what effect does it have to the area of the triangle? So I'm gonna have to calculate the areas. And the area of a triangle, and you're given this in the test, is 1/2 times base times height. So base is 10, height is 20. So calculate your area. Area will be 100, because 20 times 10 is 200. 200 times 1/2 is 100. Now let's move on over here. You know what? Give me 1 second. Sorry, I'm gonna change up my base. I'm gonna make my base 30, and I'll tell you why I'm doing this in a little bit. You could also make it 10, doesn't matter, but I want to make it a little bit tougher, and with this number right here, it might make it a little bit tougher. So this area will be actually 300. Okay, now let's move on over here. Now my base over here, the problem tells me the base is decreased by, the height is increased by 15%, while the base is decreased by 10%. So I'm gonna have to figure out 10% of 30. 10% of 30, it's 0.10 times 30, which is 3. So that means my base decreases by 3, so it's 27. And my height increases by 15%. So 15% of 20, 15% is 0.15, times 20 is actually also 3. So my height increases by 3, so my new height is 23. Now let's use those calculators and figure out the area here. So it'll be 23 times 27 times 0.5, and that'll give me area to be 310.5. So my area went from 300 to 310.5. Automatically, I can cross out answer choice C and D because I know it's not I know it's increasing. So C and D are saying it's decreasing. That's gone. Now it's saying by what percent this is happening, right? So that's why I have this formula over here. This formula is a formula you can use for percent change. So I like this formula. Try to memorize it. So write it down somewhere for yourself. It'll definitely come in handy on some problems. So the numerator needs to be the difference. So the difference here will be 310.5 minus 300, which will just be 10.5. And the denominator is the original, and the original is 300. And you have to multiply that by 100. So let's on our calculators, let's do 10.5 divided by 300, and then times that by 100, and that should give you 3.5. So we know that this triangle, the area is increasing by 3.5%, which is answer choice A. And the reason I changed up the numbers over here before was if I used those numbers, this would have given you 100 as the area, and the area over here would be 103.5. So you can see from 100 to 103.5, it's increasing by 3.5%. And I just wanted to make sure you understand how to use this formula. So that's why I changed up the numbers. But if you use the numbers that I was using before, again, you would get the same answer, but it actually would have been a little bit easier.